Hello, welcome to the Good Melanin Morning Podcast. I'm your melanated host, Jay. I invite you to join me as I converse about various day-to-day topics concerning sisterhood, self-care, pop culture, relationships, and empowerment, all from a melanated viewpoint. Although I have a melanated view, these conversations are for all ears. So go grab your latte, sit back, and let's talk melanin.
Hello everyone, this is Jay from Good Melanin Morning. First and foremost, I would like to welcome each and every single one of you to my podcast, and I want to thank you for coming and listening to me. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the way my podcast will be set up. Each day, I will post a podcast. I will start the podcast out with culture talk in the beginning, and that's pretty much anything that I've seen on social media, any topics that I may have posted, and I've had some of my friends and family respond to them with their answers. That would be a way I can go about it. And also, it could be things that I just basically observe. And so I think it may be something that need to be talked about. If you are interested in sending me a topic to discuss on my podcast, you may be able to reach me by email at gmelanin@gmail.com. Again, if you have a topic you would like for me to discuss on my podcast, you may reach me at gmelanin@gmail.com. So let's go ahead and get started. Yesterday, there was an article written by Rob Banks of Country 106.5 WYRK radio station based out of Buffalo, New York. And this particular article basically went viral. Apparently, that old Corningware that your mother, your grandmother, your aunties, your uncles may have in their cabinets could be it could be worth up to thousands of dollars. The 1970s style porcelain cookingware has made a comeback, and one allegedly sold on eBay for $10,000. Now, I personally did do my research on eBay, but I didn't find anything that could confirm this. I searched the internet trying to look and see if I could find an article, but I did not. So I can't confirm, but apparently that's what was posted. I will say I personally viewed the Corningware on eBay, as I've said, and I was completely shocked at the prices that many were listed for. It appears that the rare vintage Corningware called Blue Cornflower is definitely the piece you need in your cabinet. So basically, for those of you that may not know, when this Corningware is being made, they have different brands, not necessarily brands, but categories of it. Like there is one that's a Paisley Bouquet. There is the Spice of Life. There is the Blue Cornflower. So there's different types of the Corningware. So basically what you would have to do to see if you may possibly have a piece in your cabinet is do a little research and find out. On eBay, I actually found pieces that were listed as high as $8,500. Now, what I noticed is a lot of these were listings that were new. So I believe it's safe to say many people probably saw that article and they went and did their research and they immediately got their Corningware put up on eBay. I do have some in my cabinet. Maybe I should try my luck and post them on eBay and see if I could get some money from it. Not only having a dish is a good thing, but having the lid to go with it is even better. So I would recommend, if you have some, don't get rid of it until you've had yours appraised by maybe a local antique dealer or you've reached out to a collector. You just may be sitting on a gold mine. So here's my question that I'm going to pose to you. Do you have any of that Corningware that may fit this category? If so, let me know. we'll see what we do with that. So moving right along to our main topic of discussion for today, generational curses, myth or reality. So, do you believe in generational curses? This was a question that I asked via my Facebook page. And here's some of the responses I got from several people from different age ranges to different ethnicities, male, female. Some of the answers were most definitely do. Don't believe in curses, but I do believe in generational habits. No, I think things are passed down through generations. It is possible they can be broken. You have to have the desire to break them. And a part of complacency and not knowing anything. So, what are generational curses? First, let's start with the definition of a curse. A curse is something that's considered to be a reoccurring problem that's based from ill intent upon another person, released through, things of like sin, ignorance, and or rebellion. So basically, for a generational curse, if you just add the ill intent upon a family generation or specific members of the ancestry, there you may have the addition of a generational curse. Let's be a little more specific. Let's say one of your parents is consumed by uncontrollable anger. This may very well become your mindset as well, because as we all know, as a child, your mind is like a sponge. So you are observing, you are absorbing every single thing that you see. So the same concept goes for things like worry, greed, unbelief, and pride. So let's elaborate on pride a little more. Let's say a Fortune 500 company that's been passed down from generation to generation. Basically, the males of that generation, they are receiving the company. They're becoming the CEOs of the company. And from the beginning, this particular family have the intent to sometimes be greedy. That they're always like looking for money. They're wanting to get money no matter how they have to get it. They don't care who they step on. They don't care who they step over. They're going to get their money. So with that, we can say greed is something that they have. And that's something that I saw my grandfather do it. Then my dad did it. And now I'm doing it. Then my son is going to do it. Then my grandson is going to do it. And it's going to keep moving down this Fortune 500 company. So basically, that's the same concept of a generational curse within a family. So something that was a little surprising to me, but not fully, is that there's a biblical reference to generational curses. Now, it don't specifically say generational curses, but it do speak in that terminology. So for some listeners, the idea of curses being in the Bible would be taboo, and I'm aware of that. However, it's there and it's spoken about on several occasions. I'm going to go into depth. I'm not going to go into depth of this, but what I can say is the concept of generational curses is noted in Exodus 25. In the King James Version, it says that God will visit the sins of the fathers down to the third and fourth generation. So, of course, as we all know, there's interpretation that goes along with this. To me, I feel it speaks to generational curses. So, of course, there's reference to generational curses in the Bible. And I need for you to take a moment to think about something. Have you ever wondered why some patterns in your family history seem to be reoccurring in your own life? Have you ever sat and just thought about that? You may have found yourself thinking that there was some trouble happened to you or a situation that happened. And when you were sitting there thinking about it, you realize that, oh, wow, I had an aunt or maybe my mother, someone in my family actually went through that. Strongholds such as anxiety, poverty, illnesses, and addictions are another couple of those that I would like to name that can be considered generational curses. A lot of times we tend to have the thinking or thought process that it's just something that happens. Not necessarily. Yes, some things in life happen, but when you see those same things in life start to be repetitive, at some point you may need to start thinking, maybe this is a generational curse. So pretty much I've explained to you what the take on curses are, generational curses are, and even giving you some examples of what they are. And, we talked a little bit about the biblical reference to generational curses. So the next question is, how would I know if my family may have a generational curse? How do I know if I have a generational curse? Similar to sinful patterns and disruptive behaviors, generational curses can be, they pass through the family line, like we've already said. You can often see cycles of harmful tendencies, like going from one generation to the next. Like I spoke earlier about the Fortune 500 company, about how that greed, it was passed down from generation to generation. Anything from things like suicidal inclinations, self-harm, that kind of stuff can go from parents to children. Abuse of all kinds can also end up, passing through your family. And addictions to alcohol and drugs, that can run in the family. If you have a pattern of marital breakdown, and divorce, that can be traced through the lineage of your family, more than likely that is a generational curse. So one of the first things that doctors do, we're speaking on physical and mental sickness. One of the first things that doctors do is check into your family's medical history, right? If there's anything that may be wrong with you, they may ask, do you have a family history of this? What side is it, paternal or maternal? Or if they're just doing a background on you, your medical history in general, they ask those questions. The reason they ask these questions is because they know that certain types of diseases have a tendency to pass on through the family line, as we all know. But what the doctors may not realize, especially if they're not very spiritual or religious, I should say, they don't recognize that this pattern can actually be a spiritual problem, not just a genetic one. While not every sickness, we all know, is the result of a curse, sickness, disease, and mental torment are all included in the list of curses. I myself found that interesting because I was always thinking, oh, it's just life. It happens. Even things down to you having debt, you automatically think it's life. It happens. You find some reason other than thinking that it may be a curse that's causing these to happen to you. Diseases such as cancer and like heart disease, mental health issues of depression, the bipolar disorders, the anxiety problems, with barrenness or miscarriages, these all can be passed through family line and be inherited. And again, it can fall up under the category of generational curses. God's heart for his children is never for sickness, disease, or, mental torment to afflict them. His heart is to bless and to heal, but the consequences of the fall and the personal sins of people have opened the way for all types of destruction and death in the world. We all know that. So being aware of the reality of generational sickness and disease should not scare us, but equip us to receive healing if what we are dealing with is a generational curse. So again, you have to sit down and think. As a matter of fact, that's what I want everyone that's listening to do. Just kind of take a moment and sit down to yourself when you have a little time and just think about some of the things that may have been happening to you, that may have happened to a friend, to a relative, a significant other, whatever the case may be, and see if you can possibly link it to being something that's repetitive, reoccurring. And it could just possibly be one of those generational curses. So in all actuality, some of the things we are programmed to think that just happens, as I said earlier, I was thinking it just happens. This got to be life. Lord, life is really doing me in. it could actually be that generational curse. But the good news is generational curses can be broken. So that's something I want you to keep in mind. And if you want to know how, I invite you to tune in to my podcast for tomorrow, which will be over breaking generational curses. So again, I would like to thank each and every single one of you for joining my podcast. Please make sure you share. If you find this information interesting, if you find it empowering, if you find it anything, if it's enlightening you or whatever the case may be, please make sure you share the podcast. You can also find me on Spotify up under Good Melanin Morning. And I'm also currently looking into getting on iTunes. So you can also review any of the podcasts recorded on my YouTube channel at Good Melanin Morning. And you can also visit my blog website at goodmelaninmorning.com. Again, I'm your host, Jay, with Good Melanin Morning, and I'm looking forward to seeing you, or should I say, talking with you tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed our conversation. If so, please make sure to keep up with us on Facebook and Instagram at Good Melanin Morning. Before you go, always remember, it's a great day to be melanin.